So good morning students. Now shall be discussing about the brainstorming question and answers of the lesson 1.1 being neighborly. So here I have the question and answers for you. The first activity is A1. Joe's decision to make friends with the lonely boy next door proves to be good one. Elaborate. You may begin with Joe was a bold and friendly and warm person. And then you can begin. So since Joe was bold, friendly, and a warm person, she knew that the boy next door, that is Laurie, was lonely and wanted to enjoy the fun with those of his age. Since Joe used to look at Laurie and Laurie used to peep down into their estate from his estate to Joe's estate. So she had taken appropriate steps and met the lonely boy. So you know how she planned. She planned to greet him and meet him with a snowball, and she did so. She only wanted to change the life of the boy, and as he was her neighbor, so she only wanted to be somehow just make him happy because somewhere he was his neighbor and she wanted to be neighborly with him, and this is what neighbors do. So as we continue, the next question is read the extract being neighborly and complete the following statements. So the first is to Joe, the fine house seemed like kind of enchanted palace full of splendors and delights which no one enjoyed. So this actually place was blank here. So answer is a kind of enchanted palace full of splendors and delights which no one enjoyed. So the next sentence was or statement is Joe swept a path around the garden for Beth to walk in when the sun came out and her broken limb dolls needed air. Means here the appropriate word for it would be the appropriate word here would be the invalid doll. So Beth could walk her invalid dolls there. So Joe entered the old stone house carrying Blanca Magni, surrounded by a garland of green leaves and the scarlet flower. So yes, she was carrying the Blanca Magni, what do you say, type of dish which was cooked by her sister, and also she had brought Beth's three kittens in another hand. In order to tide the room, Joe needed to place the objects in the right place. So since she found out that Laurie's room isn't proper, she needed to place all the objects in the exactly right place. So now let us see the next question. So let us see the next activity, which is third one. Bring out the contrast between the two houses with the help of the following points. So one house is the house of March and one is the house of Lawrence. So both the houses have something very different characteristics. Let us see them. First is old brown house. So this old brown house is the house of March, while the house of the Lawrence is stately stone mansion. It is a big mansion like a palace. Next, it is robbed of the vines, means some vines are growing here and there on their home. Well kept ground. So you can see the entire place, grass is not growing anywhere. Their entire place is kept very nicely. Children played all around. So in the house of March, children played, while in the stone mansion, it was lonely and lifeless. The next is loving, merry, and friendly kind of environment was there in the house of March, while here no motherly faces at the window. There were no motherly faces. No one ever knew. No children used to frolic, that is, play in the balcony, what do you say, in the background or in the gardens anywhere. Activities A2. The traits of the characters you meet in the extract are jumbled. Sort them out. So the traits of Joe, Laurie, and his grandpa are mixed up. You have to write the appropriate qualities in appropriate columns, such as shy, bold. Then you have gruff. So some qualities and characteristics are given here, such as shy means bashful, that is not very reserved. Bold means outgoing, adventurous. Gruff means serious, friendly. Withdrawn means also shy. Perceptive means someone who knows, has a vision. Empathetic means who understands everyone around him. Playful wants to play all the time. Lonely means he's reserved. Happy means being happy. Gentlemanly means like a gentleman, knows where to speak, knows where to stop. Frank means whatever he wants he can speak. Mature. Then you have dull also means here lonely, unhappy. Sharp, that is what to say, quickly, he's this particular people just speak quickly. Adventurous, want something in life. Since you have understood the meaning of the words, now let us see which quality suits whom well. So, Jo is bold, she is friendly, she is playful, happy, adventurous, and very sharp. While Laurie is he's shy, he's withdrawn from the world, he's lonely, he's gentlemanly, then he's withdrawn, and he's dull again. So here I think so withdrawn has been what is it, mistakenly repeated twice. So somewhere both the words of withdrawn can be used here also for grandpa, because grandpa also was withdrawn. He was frank, mature, empathetic. He was perceptive and he was gruff. So even if he was gruff by his lookout, the way he looked, he was very empathetic. Was so this was said by Jo herself that he looks very differently. He's a kind person. He's perceptive. He's mature and he's also withdrawn because he also likes to spend a maximum of his time in his library with his books. So let us see the next activity. So the next activity is A3. Write down in your own words the way Laurie confirmed the names of the March sisters. So Laurie described the rosy girl as Beth, who stayed at home most of the times and sometimes went out with the little basket. So Laurie had seen Beth being with her mother, who used to be in the kitchen, who used to help her mother. Then he recognized the pretty girl as Meg. So he said that the girl, the pretty one is Meg, the one with the curly hair is Amy. In this way, Laurie confirmed the names of the Marsh sisters. The next is give a brief account of the interaction between Grandpa and Jo. So there were two interactions between Grandpa and Jo. The first one was when Jo was talking with his portrait, where she expressed a number of things, and second was then when she accidentally actually Grandpa was standing in front of her. So Jo expressed her thoughts about Grandpa, that he had kind eyes, tremendous will, but was not as handsome as her grandfather. She also said that she did not know that Laurie's grandpa was standing behind her, because before when this incident took place, Laurie had went out to meet his doctor, and suddenly someone came out. So she was standing with her back in front of grandpa, and she started talking with the portrait. And while she was talking with the portrait, she said a number of things, such as that you look gruff, but I can see some kindness and warmth in your eyes. And suddenly when his grandfather came in front of her, she also said the same thing, that your eyes look more kindlier than in the portrait, and maybe your face is grim and gruff, but still you are a very nice looking person, but you are handsome but not as handsome as my grandfather. So grandpa thanked her, hearing her kind words about him. She blushed and felt uncomfortable about what she had said about grandpa, because a thought had crossed her mind about running away, but if she would run away, that would be cowardly and everybody would laugh at her. So she decided to wait back, but Grandpa accepted her remarks. He inquired about her presence with his grandson Laurie. So the first question was that, what are you doing here with my grandson? And she said that I just came here because she exclaimed that he needed to become friendlier with the neighbors so he would never remain alone. So this was what she wanted to tell him, that if he met other people, if he moved out of his house in the free time, if he knew the other neighbors, so it would be very nice for him. Grandpa accepted her idea and invited her for tea with them. So this is what grandfather did. So this is the interaction between grandpa and Jo. So the next activity is A4 activity. Find the proverbs, maxims and idioms related to friendship. So we have to find proverbs, maxims, small idioms which mean friendship. For example, birds of a feather flock together. Then you have close knit, that means very close. Like two peas in a pod means very close friends. To get on famously, that means to agree with some particular person on a particular point. To be as thick as thieves, that means very close friends. Now the next question, that is the second of A4 activities. The extract deals with the atmosphere of two homes. Collect the words associated with. So two homes are given and some words also are given to it, such as home. So home is old, brown house, bare and shabby, stately stone mansion, big coach house, enchanted place, as well as tombs and etc. You can also find more words related with it. Then you have library. A fellow can't live on books, lined with books, distracting little cabinets full of coins and curiosities, sleepy hollow chairs, queer tables, bronzes, open fireplace, etc. Then garden, grooves, lawns, robbed of the vines, low hedge and etc. are some words which are related with the atmosphere of both the homes. So the next activity is if I change into indirect speech. So the first is, do you like your school? Asked the boy. Don't go to school. I am a businessman, girl. I mean, answered Joe. So next is, Joe flourished her broom as she called out, how do you do? Are you sick? Laurie opened the window and croaked out as hoarsely as a raven. Better, thank you. I've had a bad cold and been shut up a week. So the C1 is, the pretty one is Meg and the curly head is Amy, I believe. Laurie, how did you find out, Joe? So here, then you have D1 is, I am afraid, not afraid of anything, returned Joe with a toss of the head. I don't believe you are, exclaimed the boy. So we use indirect speech when we use our own words to report what someone says. So this is the difference between direct and indirect speech. Direct speech is something what someone is saying, and indirect speech is that after listening to the sentence, how do we exclaim that. Changes should be made to the original words when changing from direct speech to indirect speech. So some changes should be made without changing the meaning of the sentence. The meaning of the sentence should not be changed. The boy wanted to know whether she, that is Joe, liked school, to which Joe answered rather emphatically that she did not go to school. She further added that she was a businessman and jovially corrected the gender. Now the note is given, observe the aspects of tenses, the reflexive pronouns that have undergone changes while transforming direct speech into indirect speech. Certain meanings will have to be conveyed when conveying to indirect speech. For example, in the above sentence, Jo has corrected herself when she claims she is a businesswoman. Since she is a girl, she says that she is a businesswoman, that is a girl. Note, at the time when this novel was written, businesswoman was not a prevalent term. So this particular word was not there itself. So now let us see the answers to the indirect speeches. See here. Do you like your school? Asked the boy. Don't go to school. I am a businessman. Girl, I mean, answered Joe. So the boy wanted to know whether she, that is Joe, liked to school. To which Joe answered rather definitely that she did not go to school. She further said that she was a businessman. Jovially corrected the gender. She corrected the gender. The B1, Joe flourished her broom as she called out, how do you do? Are you sick? Laurie opened the window and croaked out as hoarsely as a raven, better, thank you, I've had a bad cold and been shut up for a week. So the answer to this is, Jo flourished her broom as she called how Laurie was. She further inquired whether he was sick. Laurie opened the window and croaked out as hoarsely as a raven, and giving thanks, he confirmed her that he was feeling better. He further added that he had been suffering from cold and he had been shut himself a week. These are the answers from direct to indirect speech. Then we have the next one, which is C. The pretty one is Meg and the curly head is Amy, I believe. Laurie, how did you find out, Joe? So the answer to this is, Laurie confirmed that the pretty one was Meg and the curly head was Amy. Joe surprisingly asked him how he had found that out. The D1 is, I am not afraid of anything. Returning to Joe with a toss of the head, I don't believe you are, exclaimed the boy. The answer to this is, returning Joe with a toss of the head, assured that she was not afraid of anything. The boy exclaimed that he did believe and she was afraid, didn't believe, and she was afraid of anything. So here we end, and this is how direct speeches are converted into indirect speeches without changing the meaning of the sentences. We have done so here I end this particular lecture. We will meet again in next week with the next lesson.